It began on a day like any other. The sun beat down on the manicured grounds of Yanagawa High School. Students shuffled to their classes. A normal day, until it wasn't. The date was April 17th, 2014. A day forever etched in the school's history. The day the screaming began. It started subtly. A single high-pitched shriek from the library, then another and another. Soon the sounds of terror echoed down the halls, growing louder, more desperate. Students poured out of classrooms, faces pale, eyes wide with fear. Panic spread like wildfire. Teachers, just as bewildered, struggled to regain control. But something was different about this day. This wasn't typical teenage hysteria. This was fear, raw and primal. This was Yanagawa High School's introduction to the unexplainable. As the dust settled and the authorities arrived, whispers began to circulate. Whispers of a vengeful spirit haunting the halls of Yanagawa High. Locals recalled an old legend, a tale of a young woman wronged and murdered on the very grounds the school now stood. She was known as Yumi, a beautiful girl with a heart full of dreams. Betrayed by her lover, she was said to have taken her own life beneath the branches of a weeping willow tree. A tree that, coincidentally, stood just outside the library, the source of the initial screams. Yumi's story had been passed down through generations, a cautionary tale whispered around campfires and shared in hushed tones. Now it seemed, the legend was more than just a story. Yumi's spirit, fueled by rage and sorrow, was seeking retribution. While the supernatural held sway over some minds, others sought a more rational explanation. The incident, they argued, was a textbook case of mass hysteria, a phenomenon in which collective fear, spread through suggestion and imitation, could manifest in physical symptoms. The initial scream, perhaps a prank or a genuine scare, acted as the trigger. In the enclosed, high-pressure environment of the school, this fear became contagious. Students, already under the weight of exams and social pressures, were primed for such an outbreak. Each scream, each fainted student, served to reinforce the belief that something was terribly wrong. The power of suggestion, amplified by the group, created its own reality. A reality where fear, not spirits, ruled the day. Section 4. The authorities' struggle. Faced with an event that defied explanation, the authorities struggled to regain control. The initial reports were vague, filled with accounts of strange noises, sudden chills, and inexplicable shadows. The police, accustomed to dealing with tangible threats, found themselves in uncharted territory. The police, initially dismissive, were soon forced to acknowledge the gravity of the situation. What started as a few isolated incidents quickly escalated into a full-blown crisis. Officers who had once scoffed at the idea of the supernatural now found themselves questioning their own beliefs. The sheer scale of the panic, the genuine terror etched on the faces of students and teachers alike, demanded a response. The school, once a place of learning and laughter, had transformed into a scene from a nightmare. The authorities knew they had to act swiftly to prevent further chaos. A full investigation was launched. Teams of officers and investigators were dispatched to comb through every inch of the school. They set up equipment, hoping to capture any evidence that could explain the bizarre occurrences. The halls, now filled with the hum of electronic devices, felt even more unsettling. The school was temporarily closed, its halls eerily silent for the first time in decades. The once bustling corridors, now marked with caution tape, stood as a stark reminder of the events that had transpired. The silence was deafening, amplifying the sense of dread that hung in the air. Counselors were brought in to help students cope with the trauma. Sessions were held in dimly lit rooms, where students whispered their fears and recounted their experiences. The counselors, though trained to handle trauma, found themselves at a loss for words, unable to provide the comfort the students so desperately needed. Yet, despite their best efforts, the authorities were left grasping at straws. Every lead they followed seemed to end in a dead end. The more they investigated, the more questions arose, each more perplexing than the last. The investigation yielded no concrete answers. Files remained empty, and the officers, usually so confident in their abilities, were left shaking their heads in frustration. The lack of evidence was maddening, and the pressure to find a solution was mounting. No evidence of foul play, no signs of a prank gone wrong. The usual suspects, mischievous students, disgruntled staff, were all ruled out. The school, it seemed, had become a hotspot for the inexplicable, and the authorities were powerless to stop it. The mass hysteria theory, while plausible, felt incomplete. It didn't account for the physical phenomena that had been reported. The investigators, skeptical by nature, found themselves entertaining theories they would have once dismissed outright. Something didn't quite add up. The pieces of the puzzle were there, but they refused to fit together. The authorities, used to dealing with the logical and the rational, were now faced with a mystery that defied both. The incident at Yanagawa High School, it seemed, would remain a chilling mystery. The school, now shrouded in an eerie silence, stood as a testament to the unknown. The authorities, despite their best efforts, had been unable to provide answers, leaving the community to grapple with the unsettling reality that some mysteries are never meant to be solved. Section 5. Scars on the Soul of Yanagawa. The events of that day left an indelible mark on Yanagawa High School. It was a day that would forever be etched in the memories of those who were there, a day that transformed the very essence of the school. The school reopened, but things were different. The once vibrant atmosphere was now overshadowed by an unspoken dread. The walls seemed to whisper secrets, and the air was thick with an uneasy silence. The laughter seemed a little less carefree, the hallways a little darker. The students, who once roamed the corridors with boundless energy, now moved with a cautious step, their eyes darting to the shadows. The memory of the screaming lingered, a constant reminder of the day the school's tranquility was shattered. It was as if the very soul of Yanagawa High School had been scarred, leaving behind an invisible wound that refused to heal. Students who had once been skeptical of the supernatural now found themselves looking over their shoulders, whispering prayers under their breath. The fear was palpable, a shared burden that weighed heavily on their young minds. The library, once a haven for quiet study, became a place of fear, avoided at all costs. The shelves, lined with books, seemed to hold more than just knowledge. They held the echoes of that fateful day. The incident at Yanagawa High School was a stark reminder that some things cannot be explained. It was a chilling testament to the unknown, a story that would be passed down through generations, growing more haunting with each retelling. It was a testament to the power of fear, a testament to the enduring hold of legend, and a testament to the fragility of the human psyche. The scars on the soul of Yanagawa were not just physical, they were emotional, psychological, and deeply ingrained in the fabric of the school's history. The students and teachers, though they tried to move on, could never truly forget. The shadows of that day would forever loom over Yanagawa High School, a constant reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present possibility of the unknown. Section 6. The Legend Endures. Years have passed since the incident, but the legend of Yumi continues to cast a long shadow over Yanagawa High School. The once bustling hallways now carry an air of unease, as if the very walls remember the tragedy that unfolded within them. The weeping willow, its branches heavy with sorrow, still stands outside the library, a silent sentinel guarding a tragic past. Its leaves whisper secrets to those who dare to listen, and the red ribbon tied to its branch serves as a stark reminder of the life that was lost. Some whisper that Yumi's spirit still roams the halls, seeking solace or perhaps revenge. They say that on quiet nights when the moon is full, her ghostly figure can be seen gliding through the corridors, her presence sending shivers down the spines of those who encounter her. Others claim to have heard her mournful cries echoing through the empty corridors late at night. These cries, filled with sorrow and longing, seem to pierce the silence, leaving an indelible mark on the memories of those who hear them. The stories persist, passed down from one generation of students to the next. Each year, new students arrive, eager to hear the tales of Yumi and the tragic events that have become a part of the school's lore. They gather in dimly lit classrooms and shadowy hallways, sharing their own encounters and adding to the ever-growing legend. Whether true or simply the product of overactive imaginations, these tales serve as a constant reminder of the haunting incident that shook Yanagawa High to its core. The fear and fascination surrounding Yumi's story have become a part of the school's identity, a chilling footnote in its otherwise unremarkable history. The legend of Yumi has become inextricably linked with the school's identity, a chilling footnote in its otherwise unremarkable history. It is a story that refuses to fade, a ghostly presence that lingers in the hearts and minds of all who walk the halls of Yanagawa High. The legend endures, a testament to the power of memory and the enduring impact of a single tragic event.